Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Karen Marsdale and I'm on staff at the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance, and we're here with another episode of Chamber Spotlight. And I'm thrilled today to have a relatively new member and very enthusiastic, and it's a really interesting business, and I think you're going to want to know more about it after you've heard from Abigail. So Abigail Mirarchi is here with us, and the name of her company is Accelerated Instructional Media. Accelerated Instructional Media. So I actually had to kind of look that up on your website, which we were just talking about, and found it very interesting because it's a topic that is of interest to me, which is development of people. And tell me, first of all, if I had to ask you, like in a 30-second elevator speech, what you did and what you do for a living, what would you say?
Create curriculum that builds experiences in a safe environment to make informed decisions.
That's great. It sounds like you've practiced that.
I do it every day.
Exactly.
I
exactly.
build curriculum every day.
So you create curriculum. And you
build in the experiences.
Build in the experience.
Yeah, for personal or professional development, you're looking at behavior modification, whether it's on the job, whether it's learning a new skill. Soft skills is very popular. This is really where we focus. We do a lot of hard skills, which are getting familiar with your computer programs.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So the hard skills, it's different for every organization.
Sure,
So there's
and
some
definitions are different depending on what the industry is, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about your background, real quickly, that brought you to this place in your business.
Think of it as a Swiss Army knife of instructional design and curriculum design and graphic design together.
Okay.
So it's not about just having a piece of the pie. I know how to design something for people to learn. It's about knowing the graphics, the way it looks, the aesthetics, the user experience, how many clicks to get to something. And then taking that and also being able to execute it to a delivery, whether it's on an LMS, a learning management system, or going into a classroom that you do perform a train the trainer, and a trainer goes out and facilitates it. So it's having not just a piece, it's a well-rounded understanding of all of these. So I have a background in graphic design, e-learning, the programs behind that, and then curriculum design. So it becomes a nice package when someone hires in for a piece or the whole package.
So
if that made any sense.
Yes, no, I totally understand that. And is this something that prior to starting your own business that you were doing as a career in another world?
Yeah, as my career progressed and going from graphic design then into teaching, and then going back for my master's degree in instructional design and development, and then building on my experiences in different places, then going in for my PMI.
Which PMI, for those who are perhaps listening or here or observing this, what is that?
Oh, it's, I just drew a blank right now, I apologize.
That's okay.
I just completely drew a blank.
So
Project Management Institute.
Okay.
So basically
Perfect.
from Kutztown University, where I graduated for my undergrad, then to Lehigh with my instructional design, and then Villanova for my project management certifications. It all becomes one big understanding of what what companies need, what L&D needs, different departments.
So give me an example of a typical client that you might have or desire to have.
There is no typical, because I have to say that they're going to hire myself, my company, to meet a need, whether it's to fill in that they don't have an instructional design team, so they need something built for maybe their LMS for 500 employees. Might need to support their own team, someone who has the package to support their team, lead their team, project manage their team, to be able to deliver something. Someone might say, I have this, but it needs to be prettied up. I always get the hair sticks up in the back of my neck when I'm like, no, it's not about pretty, it's about professionalizing this up, that it resonates with the audience. So then they bring it to me, and then I wow them with the things that really the learner's going to get out, apply it today, learn it today, apply it tomorrow.
So are there particular, when we talked about soft skills, are there particular areas that you think are most important for the learner to grasp, whether it's in what we might call online learning or not in-house basic learning that would be people in the seats?
Life essential skills, the soft skills, communication, and diversity, inclusion, perspectives. That is really big, and also influence without a title. Learning to actually influence and have that dialogue, also looking at that perspective from someone else, that's very important. And those just basic skills of just being nice to somebody, or understanding that you come from a different background, you come from a different culture, and this is just at Reading, but then you start adding satellite offices to this, and it's different. So understanding the perspective of a lot of different people and being able to communicate, that's one of those soft skills, is being aware of it.
So when a client calls, or a prospective client, what do they sometimes don't know what they don't know? They're just seeing perhaps a problem or a challenge. What kinds of questions do you get, or what kinds of, I'm having a problem because my team, my company, doesn't understand, and then fill in the blank?
I'll ask a series of questions to make sure that that's actually what is the problem. I think one of the biggest things that we hear and we find out after we do some analysis, a needs analysis, an audience analysis, is it actually a problem that needs to be solved, or is it something else? Is it motivation? Is it something else? So we'll dive deeper to find out. Now, we have people that call up and say, hey, we need any learning. We need it to be 30 minutes. It needs to cover X, Y, Z. And we're right there. They're very clear. But when it comes to understanding the bigger picture, is it a short-term need? Is it a long-term need? Is it a sustainable need that you're going to see repeating depending on the culture, depending on the new managers, on the growth?
So some of it, I would imagine, could be things that are in sort of the compliance world.
Oh, yeah.
In needing to have diversity training, which I really hate to put into the compliance arena, and/or sexual harassment, or a number of things depending on the industry, OSHA, et cetera, et cetera. And
software is huge too.
Right, software. Just teaching how to use, or teaching the compliance of software, what you're allowed.
What is
to do,
allowed and what
what's
is
allowed,
not.
or what's
social
not
media.
Right,
if you're not given granted access to be able to talk about this, don't. And they need to have that, and it's trackable. And that's one of the reasons why it's on a more self-paced e-learning, is that they can take it. That's more convenient for them. We do a lot of the compliance.
And our time is actually coming to an end, and this is really fascinating to me, because we just sort of lived in this world, and our, you can't work with businesses and be a business association without having so many different questions and so many different challenges from a myriad of different industries and sectors. But something that we hear a lot about is the challenge of the workplace and the workforce that's going to be really almost the majority of workers by 2020, which are millennials, and then behind them the Generation Z, which of course clearly makes us a workplace today that will have 5 generations all working together in harmony in one place, which is kind of like, well, that would be nirvana. However, do you get folks that say, we just need to figure out how we can all work together in a collaborative, cooperative space where we get the work done and we respect each other's values and the way we get things and the way we work?
It's also about building the culture within the company from top down.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about that in our world, and I think that culture is huge. I think it's going to be, to some degree, I think that's going to be the differential, or that tipping point is going to be where folks are successful or unsuccessful.
And not being afraid to ask for help. You don't know what you don't know, and then you've got the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance, and then you have all of your individual companies that also can support it. So it's not a one-person event or it's a collaboration of all of the experiences that actually is going to help out with those organizations' growth.
Right, exactly. Well, this was absolutely fascinating, Abigail, and I'm sure your world is just full of, everything is
exciting. It's fun.
And each client that you talk to, because I think people, like you said, people don't know what they don't know, and sometimes a problem can be very different than what they thought the initial, like the root cause analysis of something, because it's all the human dynamics.
If I can leave you with one thing.
Sure.
We trademarked something. It took forever, but being a small organization, it was well worth it. Learning starts with the first conversation. Start the conversation.
Oh, that's great. Learning starts with the first conversation. Start the conversation. That's great. That's great. And you trademarked that.
Learning starts with the first conversation.
Yeah. That's
so
great.
We're ready for it.
Well, I'm hoping that you will see great success. I know that we can be a part of that because we certainly are kind of the epicenter, at least in Berks County.
You are the biggest connector.
Great.
Biggest connector. Started in October with the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance, and I've met some phenomenal businesses, and every day that you have these events, and I go to quite a few of them. That
is great to hear, because one of the things I'm always supposed to ask is, how is your chamber helping you? And I think you've just said it without even asking.
Yeah, the biggest connector. A lot of companies don't know a lot of companies that are here, and when you have these events, it is wonderful to see Building Berks.
Yes.
It's wonderful to see the career readiness.
Right.
There's a lot of wonderful things that are happening, and you're a connector.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We are. No. Well, it was a delight to get to know you better, Abigail. And remember, because I'm going to say it again, Accelerated Instructional Media. So take a look online. It's a great website. It's fascinating. And for those of you who are, if you're in business today, it's the business of people. That's our most valuable commodity. And so you need to get them and have them ready to do the work you expect them to do.
Workforce performance.
And workforce performance is huge. So thank you again. It was a pleasure.